Welcome everyone to the first annual Aerospace and Aviation Club meeting of this year. Welcome back all those who have come before and all those who are new. We have the best speaker of the year, Maya Habib, who just went to a flight academy in California and is on her way, if not already, a student pilot and soon to be fighter pilot as she's aiming. So she's going to tell us her story and how we can all join her. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Jump in.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this because this is like the most incredible experience I had of my entire life. So, obviously, as the title suggests, I went to Aim High Flight Academy this past summer at California Baptist University, and so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the program itself and the university that I was staying at, and then just show you I have a ton of pictures about all the different experiences I had over those 2 weeks. So, we're gonna talk about that. But first of all, Aim High Flight Academy facts. This is the little logo of the Flight Academy. You can also kind of see it on the patch. Those are some patches that they actually gave me on my flight suit, which you'll see a photo of a little bit later. But Aim High Flight Academy is an introductory flight academy. You do not need any experience. They actually prefer people that don't have any experience at all. I think it's less than like 5 powered flight hours because the whole point is they want to encourage people who want to be pilots but maybe don't have the financials to do so because it is very expensive to do it on your own, or just want to like test it out, see if this is like what they want to do in their life. So this program is 100% funded by the Air Force. It's worth about $20,000 to $30,000. I didn't pay a single cent. They paid for my flights to California. They paid for my lodging while I was in California, all of my activities, all of my meals, 3 meals a day. Everything was covered. The only thing that I paid for was sometimes we would go like to a souvenir shop and grab a little souvenir. Obviously that's not funded, but all of the necessities that you needed to complete the academy were fully funded. I was one of 250 people selected in 24 out of about 2,000 applicants. And in 2025, there's going to be 8 locations listed right here. 2 in California, 1 in Alabama, Oklahoma, South Dakota, or 2 in Alabama, 1 in South Dakota, and 2 in Texas. Last year they actually had 1 in Japan, which was really cool. They did take that one away because of some issues they had, but there's still a really wide variety of locations that you can go at, and I love California Baptist, so if any of you are planning on applying, I would put that as your preference because it's great there. But I went to California Baptist University's second session for Aim High Flight Academy. That was from July 20th to August 4th. It was in Riverside, California. These are pictures of the university. I took all of those, not that one though. We flew out of Corona Municipal Airport, which is about 30 minutes away from Riverside, because most of the training planes are actually over there, not at Riverside Airport. And my session had 12 students. There was 4 boys and 8 girls, which I was actually surprised about. I thought there was going to be more boys, but there were more girls because they do kind of want to, they want diversity. They want women in STEM. They want all sorts of people from all different financial and demographic backgrounds to join. So that was really great. And they was the best group of people. I'm still in touch with a lot of them, so that was just really amazing. And here are some photos initially. This is me, obviously. This is my flight suit with all my patches that I have up there. This is my group. We posed under some of our planes. Here's the girls' little funny photo. And it was just really great. I mean, we had the best time, so it's like we were learning so much and also just growing together, and it was the most amazing thing ever, but super duper fun, as you can tell. Next, there's a little bit of a daily schedule. So I was awake at 5 a.m. every single day, and that meant getting 4 hours of sleep some nights and then flying airplanes. So I was awake at 5 a.m. We would always go to the drive-through breakfast because it was very quick, very fast-paced. We wanted to make sure that we had time to do all of the flying and all of the ground school training. So we would get to the location. At the airport, there was obviously the hangar with the airplanes, but then there was some classrooms that we studied in. I had about an hour and a half to 2 hours of flight time every single day. Some people flew in the afternoon, some in the morning. I flew in the morning, so that's how I started my day. Then we had lunch, and then 3 hours of ground school tutoring or flight simulator. So it would alternate on the days. Sometimes you would have ground school for 3 hours, and sometimes you'd have tutoring where you could ask specific questions about the material, and then you would do flight simulator. So there was obviously real life flying. I'm in the air in this photo, and in this one, somebody is sleeping in the back of that airplane, and I don't know what it was with those airplanes, but being in the back of those airplanes was like taking melatonin pills because it is warm. You have a little bit of the breeze from like the cracked windows. You're flying. It's like one of those rocking cribs for the babies where it's like very lightly moving. I fell asleep every single time I sat back there, and it's like you can't do anything to stop it. Like nobody was ever awake. We'd all get back and be like, "You took a nap, didn't you?" And be like, "Yeah." It was really comfortable. But this is me flying also. I mean, like I'm in the sky. This is my instructor taking the photo. And this is me pulling out the plane every single morning because we'd have to pull the plane out of it. It was like secured on the ground so the wind wouldn't fly it away in the night. You'd pull out the plane, you'd have to do all of your pre-flights. My favorite thing to do was like refill the oil. I don't know why, it was so fun. My favorite thing to do was refill the oil, and you'd have to do the whole pre-flight checklist, which took like 30 minutes because you have to be very, very particular about making sure that nothing is wrong with that airplane or it's gonna cost a lot of money or your life. So you gotta be very particular about that. But yeah, and then after ground school, we would get to the airport around like 7 a.m. and we would leave at 4 p.m. So we would be there for a very big chunk of the day. We'd get home and we'd have dinner at the university actually because like I said, all the meals were provided. We got meal plan cards. So we were actually technically enrolled as part of that university. I got college credit too from this course. So I'm technically enrolled in that university. I got the college credit. I was allowed to use all of the meal facilities that were open because it was the summer. And also gym and recreation time. I had access to the gym, so if I wanted to go to the gym, I would go to the gym. My group's favorite recreation activity was playing beach volleyball because they had beach volleyball courts on campus. So we would get very, very competitive every single night, and we would play beach volleyball for like 2-3 hours. And then you had free time. They really let you choose. I mean, you knew that you had to be up at 5 a.m. every day. If you wanted to go to sleep at 1 a.m., if you wanted to go to sleep at 9 p.m., that was completely up to you. I went to sleep pretty late, but that's just because the people that I was with, like I grew the most incredible bonds with these people. Like I became such close friends. We would stay up all night talking, sharing stories about our lives because we were from all over the country. There was 3 people from Florida, 1 from Georgia, 1 from Missouri, another girl from Virginia, 1 from DC, 1 from Hawaii. Like we were from all over and just like sharing those stories about our lives, and we just came together like in this one place to do things that we all loved, and that was just so amazing. So we had the best time doing that. And here's a little bit more about our day-to-day. This is me in the morning as we're doing our pre-flight, opening up the little door on the side, refilling the oil, doing the pre-flight checklist. Here's me flying with my first instructor because I had 2 instructors throughout my time there. This is one of the flight simulators. This is not exactly what we used, but this is very similar to the one that we did use. And then here's a picture from ground school. I mean, I'm just taking notes. We have a teacher teaching us, and then here's just a little chart from calculating weight and balance of the plane. So it was a lot of math, it was a lot of schooling, but it was so fun, and it was a very rigorous schedule day to day, but it was very well worth it. And I made a little flight map right here of all kind of the main places that I hit when I was flying. So obviously this is California. I was in Southern California. This is where I was staying and flying out of. Riverside is like right here, but I wasn't gonna put the dot because it would just be touching Corona. But this is the lighter red because this is where I flew out of. I flew to LA. I flew over the Hollywood sign. You'll see that later. I flew to Camarillo specifically to get a milkshake, which you'll also see later. I flew to Anaheim. I flew over Disneyland. I flew to Catalina Island, Dana Point, and San Diego. Those are just the main places out of a lot of other ones that I hit. But here's some pictures. This is Camarillo, California. I love this airport. Actually, Kylie Jenner stores her plane here, so if we had run into each other on the same day, I would have seen her bright pink jet, which would have been pretty funny. But we went for the sole purpose of milkshakes. Camarillo is 100 miles away from Corona and usually a 2.5-hour drive. We got there in 35 minutes. And so we literally just bought milkshakes, and we had milkshakes, and then we're like, okay, time to go back. So that was my flight hours for the day, but we went literally just for milkshakes. This is Dana Point, California, super pretty. It's just like a big pier. There's a lot of shipping stuff there. And Los Angeles, California, obviously over the Hollywood sign and over downtown Los Angeles. And actually when I was in this area, I know you guys know Miss Gurley. She went to school in Southern California. She went to Mater Dei. I flew over her school. I literally was flying and I was banking the plane to turn, and I looked down and there was Mater Dei painted on a football field, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, Miss Gurley went there, and I was gonna take a picture, but I was kind of like holding the controls, so I wasn't gonna do that. But I was like, that was just a crazy coincidence. Like Miss Gurley went there. I love Miss Gurley, and that was a very funny coincidence. This is the most beautiful place that I flew. This is Catalina Island. It's called the airport in the sky because if you see this is the only inhabited part of the island. The airport is like right there. So there's nobody around when you're in the airport. This is me after I landed the plane at Catalina Island, sitting on top of the wing, obviously. And it's literally just a little peak up there. Like there's nothing around. This is Avalon. This is like a extremely touristy, expensive place. Like medium house salary, like 1.6 million. Super expensive. It's really beautiful though. Like it is so beautiful, and like it's an island, so you're crossing the ocean when you're flying over. So you can just see aircraft carriers. You see shipping ships and stuff. So that was really great. That was probably the most beautiful place that I flew, and that was just like the most insane experience.
Is that the runway, like the dirt runway? Where you landed?
No, not that one. You can't see it because it's like behind one of these peaks.
Where that plane was down there, is that where you?
Oh yeah, no, we landed on the dirt. Like, there's no like paved, like runway. It's literally just straight dirt. So it's very like shaky, and it was hot. So we're like pulling the plane across the dirt, and I'm like, I just want to go get water. But it was really worth it. Like,
is there like one hangar there, or is there any air traffic control?
No, it's not controlled with a tower. It's just radio where you call and you're like, hey, like I'm here, please don't hit me. I mean, not like that. It's a little more formal, but that's basically the way that it goes. There's no tower, and that was actually a common theme for a lot of the smaller airports that I flew into when I was in Southern California, because like obviously the bigger ones like Corona, like that has an air traffic control tower, but a lot of the times you just have to get on the radio, say your tail number, and be like, hey, this is where I am, like watch out, because there's no one telling, because some of the planes, the plane that I was flying had a GPS, so I could actually see if there was a plane under me and see how many feet below they were. But some of the planes that the other students were flying did not have GPSs, so they would literally just have to be flying and like literally looking below them the entire time, because if you ran into a plane, I mean, obviously you're done, but so thankfully I had a little bit of a safer, I'd like to say safer airplane, because I was able to just have that feature. But here's another little slideshow. This is a slide with a lot of our activities that we did, because as much as we were learning and actually actively flying, they made the experience so incredibly fun. The first day that I got there was like it was kind of like it was kind of like the welcome day, because everyone flew in from different places and got there at different times. I actually got there at 2 a.m. Because I got stuck in Arizona for 7 hours by myself, which was fun because I met a lot of people, but I had to get up at 5 a.m. the next day to go tour Southern California. So this is me at March Air Force Base. We go back for another activity, which I'll show you later because that was the coolest thing ever. This is us on call sign night. I got my call sign. As you can see, it's Spice. I did not ask for that photo to be there. That was the lieutenant that was working with us that put that there. But that was my call sign and my reaction, because that was really funny. And then this is my group on call sign night. Super great. Like, it was the funnest thing ever. We also had a lot of news stations come and do articles about us. I actually have some QR codes with links if you want to read up on that. But one day I was just at the campus, like the dining hall, and I'm like eating, and I look up at the TV, and there's just like an article about us, and I was like, oh, no way. So I snapped a picture of that. We did go to Huntington Beach. The Sunday that we were there, not the Sunday that we left, but right before that, they took us down to Huntington Beach. And we went to the beach, and it was super pretty. It was fun. We were building like sand castles. This guy built an airport in the sand. And then we went to In-N-Out afterwards. And I love In-N-Out. Every time I go to California, that's like #1 thing I have to do. And obviously they stacked In-N-Out hats on my head, but we had a lot of fun. I mean, not only flying and actually like learning and stuff, but like they made sure to like have the experience be fun as well. And then this is probably the coolest thing that we did the entire time we were there. So I forgot what day of the week this was, but we went to March Air Force Base. It was towards the end, and we got to go up. We were in the sky in a KC-135 Stratotanker, and we were refueling a C-17 Globemaster. So this is my group, and here's the crew that was flying it. And we went up in this plane for about 4.5 hours, and we flew from March Air Force Base up the coast, and I saw San Francisco at some point. That's how far up we went. So these pictures are me. I don't know so I'm sitting right here. There's a window right here. This is just for the picture, but you lay on your stomach and you look down when you're in this. So these pictures are what I took when I was like looking down there. That's how close the airplane was. I was trying to put a video, but I could not do it, that I recorded. But that's how close, that's not zoomed in. Like, that's how close the airplane was to under us when I was just looking down in that window. So yeah, we were up there it was a huge plane. We were up there for 4.5 hours. We did have to emergency land though, because there was almost a fire in the engine. So that was really funny actually. I don't know why, but one of the students that I was flying with, He's actually on an ROTC scholarship right now, so they let him go up or into the cockpit for takeoff and landing. And he came out to me at some point, like 4.5 hours in, he goes, "They forgot that I was in there, so I'm not supposed to tell you this, but we have to emergency land because I think there's a fire." And I was like, "Oh, what?" There was not a fire. The engine was like failing a little bit, but those engines are so ginormous that like one can go out and you're still fine. So we landed, the entire like Air Force Base like fire department was there, and they saw there wasn't a fire, and they're like, "Oh man." And we're like, "No, that's kind of a good thing." But it was so fun though. I mean, that was like actually like incredible. Like the views were insane. I've never seen something like that or been in that kind of experience. Like looking down, you saw the plane connect, you saw them refueling it, and then you saw it descend back and then like fly away, and it was the coolest thing ever. This was my graduation ceremony. This is on the last full day that we were there. Like I said, I did get college credit for this course, so I have this little diploma that I got from the program, but also when I'm applying to college, and I'm planning on majoring in professional flight and aviation depending on where I go. So hopefully those college credits are going to carry over and help me in that sense. But it was really great. This is my lieutenant. This is Cade Coburg, Lieutenant Cade Coburg. Everyone calls him Chad because that's his call sign. So I call him Chad. The coolest guy ever. This man is like my mentor. I still talk to him. Like if I have any questions, because I'm trying to apply for Air Force ROTC. So when I have questions about the application, when I just have questions in general, he's always there to, respond if I need any help. And again, I'm still in contact with all of these people. Like that is how close we got over these 2 weeks, that I still talk to them. We still celebrate our achievements together. One of the girls that I was flying with just got into Embry-Riddle, so she's going there. She sent that. We were all so happy for her. So it was really amazing, super duper fun. And then I have this little thing about why is it good. This is for people who want to maybe be fighter pilots or go into the military for flying. So to become aviators, you need to pass 2 tests. It's the Air Force Officer Qualification Test and the Test of Basic Aviation Skills. You have to pass those 2 tests. You get points every time you get like something right on those tests, right? So the higher your score, obviously the better chance you have of getting a rated slot. The fact that I have flight hours right now before that test is already giving me a leg up in this, like in the selection process. So, like I said, prior flight experience helps strengthen the skills tested by the TBAS, and the total number of previous flight hours also counts towards the PCSM score. That's incredible because, like I said, this program is worth almost $30,000. For me to get those 15 flight hours on my own penny would literally send me into bankruptcy. Like, it is so expensive to pay for those flight lessons, and I didn't have to pay for a single part of them. And now I have a leg up in trying to become a rated officer in the Air Force, which is incredible. So this is from another quote. I linked the website I got this from down there. Candidates with more hours of flying experience were also less likely to be eliminated. So again, leg up. I'm already set up for success at 17, having 15 flight hours from this program, which is how many you get, more or less around that mark. They aim to get at least 15, but not really over that. So that's amazing because I'm already set up for success in this sense, and I mean, an incredible experience, and I'm also just like set up for my future career. And then here is a little how to apply. I made it into a QR code. The application opens on October 1st, and it's about a month long. So that's the QR code. If it doesn't work, it should work because I did test it. The website to go to is recruiting.af.military. Go on that website, read up on it. There's so much more information. This is just my personal experience, but if you want to get like the straight facts from this program, I would go check that out because it's absolutely amazing. Like, I could not recommend this program enough. And the thing is, like, after this program, it has made me completely sure this is what I want to do in the future. But some of the people that I were flying with flew and were like, this is not for me. And that's the thing. That's not an issue because what the Air Force wants to do, like, they want to give people the opportunity to get those flight hours. And so some people, like I said, at the end were like, this is not for me. Like, I don't really want to do this. Great experience. The girl that I flew with was terrified of flying. She was scared. I was hitting G's in the plane. I also couldn't put a video, but I hit negative G's, so we flew up in the plane and stuff. Like, that was so fun. She was scared, and that's okay. Like, I'm just a thrill seeker, so that's what I enjoy doing. But it's really for everybody. If you're not completely sure if you want to do it, if you are sure, I would apply because, like, again, it was the most incredible experience, like, of my life. So yeah, and then like I was saying earlier, I have 2 links. We had ABC7 Los Angeles and NBC Los Angeles do news articles on us. There was also like Telemundo that did an article on us. So one of the girls spoke fluent Spanish, and so they interviewed her in Spanish about the whole experience, which was really great. But yeah, this is here. I'll let you guys, if you want to see them, or if you want me to go back to the previous QR code, just let me know, or I can go back later. But yeah, that was my experience with AIM High Flight Academy, and it was the most incredible thing ever. And if you guys have any questions, let me know, because I have so many answers to everything. So just
Wow.
And yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
How did you find out about the program?
Okay, so I'm actually also writing my college essay on this. So one day in I want to say, it was like mid-October, not my youngest brother, the middle brother, he threw a huge temper tantrum, and my stepdad was like, I need to get out of the house, come on, we're going to a county fair. And I was like, okay, sure. We go to this county fair, and I'm just walking along the fairgrounds, and this recruiter sees me, and my stepdad is like, you should go talk to the recruiter. And I was like, no. And he was like, no, you should. That would be, I don't know. I know you're not completely sure about, Air Force ROTC, but I think you should go talk to him. I was like, okay, that's fine. I go up to the recruiter, introduce myself, and he looks at me, and he's like, are you 16? And I was 16 at the time, so I was like, yeah, I am. He goes, I have this incredible opportunity for you. You should apply. It does close in less than a week, so I don't know if you have time to fill out the application, but I would just go for it. And I was like, okay, sure. So I go home. This is during a school week, so I'm already balancing doing all my assignments. I had to send in my transcript grades. I had to write an essay, do a creative graphic. I had to fill out this whole shebang about everything. And I turned it in, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about it, because I was like, there's no way I'm getting in, because it took me less than a week. I had to rush the application, because a lot of people, there's a month to fill it out. Most people start it the day it opens. So I forgot about it. And then a few months ago, I was at a friend's house, or not a few months ago, a few months later, I was at a friend's house, and I open my emails, and I see this email from AIM High Flight Academy, and it's like, congratulations. And I was like, what? I was completely shocked. I did not think I was gonna get that, because I seriously rushed that application. But even though I had such a small time period, I really put my heart and soul into it, because I was like, this is very much a once in a life opportunity. I want to make sure that I at least have somewhat of a chance of getting in. And then I did get in, and then I also got my first choice for the locations, because I wanted to go here, because I love California, and again, the most amazing, you're flying over all these landmarks of Southern California, Catalina Island. That was the most beautiful place I think I've ever flown. It's so incredible. You're flying, and it still doesn't feel real, because it's very open. There's so many windows in that airplane, so it's you're flying and you're looking down and you can see everything, because you're not as high. You're not as high as an airline plane, obviously. So we're 6,000 feet in the air, so I can still see everything. It's not like in an airline where all I see is clouds. I can still see everything. So I'm flying for hours, and I'm just looking at all of the horizon of Southern California, and it is the most beautiful thing. I don't think I can ever recreate the feeling of just being in the sky and seeing all of California and just seeing the ocean and seeing all the ships. It was so amazing. So yeah, that was just I don't even know. That's my butterfly effect. My brother throwing a tantrum, that's how I decided to become a pilot. That's what I'm writing my college essay on. So so that's basically how it happened. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
I have a question. So, when you get into the Air Force, what do you want to fly if you got the opportunity?
I honestly don't know. I'm right now, I'm more focused on getting in before I decide what I want to fly. But I don't know. Even the refueling airplane was cool. You'd think that would be the less cool airplanes, but I'm just I was this is insane. It's so awesome. So I don't really have a preference currently. I'm kind of more focused on getting into all the programs that I need to get to that point. But yeah, maybe in a little bit, maybe in a few months, I'll have thought about it a little bit more and have a solid answer for you. So
What are the patches for, man?
what are the what? Oh, the patches. Yeah, so we all got flight suits, as you can see. Those were I'll go back to all the photos so you can actually.
Do you get to keep the flight suit?
No, unfortunately not. But I got to keep all the patches, and they have my name on it. This one has my name on it. This is just the AIM High Flight Academy. This is the one that actually the lieutenant that was working with us had. It's the Air Force Recruiting Service Detachment 1, and the red tails, because that's what we were flying. And then here's actually you guys can pass it around and look at it. This is my student pilot license. So this is an actual physical card that says that I'm learning to fly airplanes. It's like a driver's permit, but for airplanes. because like with a permit you can't bring passengers, like you need to have it like your parent or like a guardian or someone older to have with you when you're flying or when you're driving, and that's basically what this is. Like I can't have passengers, I need to have an instructor. But the thing is, when I was flying, even though my instructor was in the seat, a lot of the times he was kind of just like sitting back and was like, I'm here if something goes wrong, like go ahead, fly. And I was like, okay. So for the most part, I was just doing it all on my own, and he was kind of just sitting there as like a precautionary. But that's basically what that is. And then that t-shirt, they give us this like goodie bag. They give us this really nice like Oakley backpack when we first got there with 5 of those t-shirts in different colors. And we all signed the yellow one because that was the ugly one, and we're like, we're never gonna wear this again, so we might just like write on it and like hang it up or something, because all the other colors look fine. But that actually has all of the names and the call signs of all of like the students I flew with, and it also has some of the instructors' names on it too, because this was like our last day there, so we were just like signing it. Like one of my instructors, his call sign is like Crouton. Then we had, where was it? One of the kids, Dominic, his call sign is Spidey, because he would just sneak out and climb all the buildings. Like he just climbed like every single building in sight for no reason at all. So that's kind of like where the call signs like came from. It was just these little experiences that we like saw each other having, and you're like, okay, perfect. So
did you guys go for call signs? How does that work?
yeah, so we had our like call sign, not the call sign night where we were getting the call signs, but when we were deciding them, it was like I'm just gonna call him Chad because that's what everyone called him, the lieutenant that we were with. So Chad got all of the kids to sit in a circle and then kicked the one person they were deciding out. He was like, go for a walk, come back in 5 minutes. And they would just start talking. He'd be like, what is a word, like what's a word that basically like describes their personality, and also like how do they fly? So mine is Spice, and there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, the girl that I was flying with said that I was spicy on the throttle because I was always going way too fast, because I was like, we gotta turn, we gotta hit G's, we're going faster, like we're so slow, come on. And she was like, you need to slow down because you're scaring me. So that's who I was. And also, I mentioned earlier in our like day-to-day that we always went for drive-through breakfast. We went to I am never eating Chick-fil-A again. I think I had Chick-fil-A at least twice a day for 2 weeks straight. For lunch, we had Chick-fil-A sandwiches. For breakfast, we would get drive-through Chick-fil-A. Sometimes I would have it 3 times a day. Like, I will not touch that food chain for another few years. But we went to Chick-fil-A every single day for breakfast, and we were, they rented these, like, cars. So we were driving a Jeep Wagoneer, which was like, ooh, it was a really nice car. But it's like, we'd go through the drive-thru, and like, they'd ask, do you want any sauces? And I would always stick my head out the window and go, hot sauce, please, every single morning, because I love hot sauce. So those are the little reasons that I was spiced, because I love hot sauce, and I was a little bit too hot on the throttle. But yeah. Anything else? Any questions? Yeah.
Do you plan on like soloing or getting a private before you go into the Air Force?
Yeah, so I could have soloed here. One kid actually did, which was really incredible, but the thing is my session was only 2 weeks. A lot of the other sessions are actually 3 weeks. So the reason that mine was 2 weeks is because they gave us access to like the ground school training like website before we got there, so we could like get ahead on the work. So we had less time to like actually fly. So I know that if we were there for another week, like a lot more people would have soloed, but one kid actually did. That's also why I'm planning on doing aviation and like professional flight as a major while I'm in college, because again, that's gonna raise my score to get like a rated slot, and also that's gonna get me some of my licenses before the Air Force does, which will give me like a little bit of an accelerated step in my career goals. Because my end goal is to be an airline pilot, that's what I wanna do, but if being a pilot in the military is what comes first, then I don't have an issue with that.
Did you face any engine near explosions or engine cuts?
On the KC-135, yeah, that. Not really on, we simulated them. Like, my instructor was like, okay, I'm gonna pretend to cut off the engine and we're diving into a field, you have to save us. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, so we simulated a lot of different, like, situations, like engine fire, engine cut off, like bad weather, VFR, IFRs. It was like, don't look out the window, like you're just gonna fly, I don't care if you don't know where you're going, don't look out the window. So we had a lot of different like things that we were practicing, which gave like a really good holistic experience of like all the different things you can face while you're flying. But I'd say like the biggest failure we encountered was the almost fire in the incredibly large $1 million jet that we were flying. So that was probably, it wasn't really scary. I thought it was kind of funny, honestly, but like, yeah, that was the closest thing.
Do you feel the simulator was similar to your actual flight?
No, because they like never worked. Like they were very they were very like sensitive. Like you would barely touch like any part of it and it would just like start flipping on the screen. I don't think it was, but it kind of helped when it came to like simulating like the engine fires or the engine cutoffs, because you could practice landing in a field without actually, because we weren't actually landing in a field when we were actually flying. Like my instructor we would be diving towards the field, and at the last second he'd be like, let go of the controls, and he would just like pull us back up. So we'd get close to it, but obviously weren't gonna land in a field. So that's kind of how we were doing most of our like simulated experiences, but yeah, it was kind of similar, not too much though.
And isn't it
How many people were in the plane with you?
It was the instructor and then one other person, like your flight partner.
three.
Yeah, because there's 4 seats, but for like weight and balance reasons, you don't want to have too many people because then it messes up the whole like logistics of takeoff and landing and everything. So we just had, it was me in the pilot seat, and then the instructor would be right next to you on the right, and then we'd switch because for the flying partner, like I would fly first in the morning, so I would take off from Corona Airport and I would fly to like, I don't know, if we're going to Camarillo for milkshakes, I'd land in Camarillo, we'd take a little break because sometimes you have to go to the bathroom or go get food, and then you just switch partners, so then I would sit in the back on the way back, and then my partner would fly back to Corona, so yeah. Yes?
What would you do like when you were on the map?
So if I wasn't sleeping, I would take notes, because a lot of the times when you are actually flying and your instructor is saying something to you, like it's really hard to process what they're saying to you because you're so focused on like keeping the plane in the air, making sure it's level, like you're not pitching too far up or down, or you're exceeding your airspeed or anything. So I wasn't trying to sleep, trust me, like it would just happen. I literally was not trying, but I would take notes. So I still have my notebook. I have a flight logbook actually that has all of my like logged hours and stuff. So I'm actually gonna take that with me to college, like when I'm going to be doing that, because those hours still apply, and that's an official logbook that the Air Force gave me. But I would take notes, and I still have a notebook from all my ground school notes and stuff. And also I have access forever to the website that has all the information about like getting your private pilot's license. Like I have all of that schooling, and it's normally you have to pay like $400 for that. Free. Again, I have that for the rest of my life. I can use it for any time I need it. So yeah, I would just take notes because again, like it's really hard to comprehend what they're saying when you're also like actively flying. So if you're sitting in the back and they're saying those exact same things to the person that's flying, like you can actually hear them and you don't have to pay attention to flying the plane, so you can actually take in what they're saying.
Did you learn every single button on the control panel and like GPS? Because there's a lot there.
There is a lot. I would say almost everyone. Like I had to, because it's like when you would go through the pre-flight, even the buttons you would never use, you had to check if they were locked in place or if they were on and off. So it's like I at least interacted with every single one at some point. Learned them, not really. I mean, sometimes there were buttons that are like completely useless that my instructor was like, don't even look at that, like there's no point. But yeah, I would say I at least interacted with like every single part of that airplane at some point, because it's like, I mean, I fly every single day for 2 weeks, except Sunday, because that's when we went to the beach. But that was a lot of flying and a lot of experience with the planes. So, yeah. Anything else?
Was the plane heavy or full?
A little bit, but I liked it. It was fun because I felt very strong when I was doing it. It was just
Did
like,
you by yourself?
yeah.
Was pushing?
No, the picture, I don't know where it is, but oh yeah. Yeah, that was me by myself. That was my instructor taking a picture, but that was me pulling it by myself, and it was fun. So, yeah, and it was great because it was really hot, but it's California, so it's all dry heat. So it's like, it was the most perfect weather. I can't even imagine like the people that went to Alabama, like, I don't know how they did that, because it was hitting like 100 for most of the time we were there, and if that was like humid hot, no, I don't think I'd be able to do that, but it was really great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, did you have any rough landings, or your first landing? How did that feel? Were you scared?
I'd say like the roughest landing, I accidentally like I pitched up a little too high, and it just like bounced a little bit like 3 times, and then we finally went on, which was like, it wasn't like scary, it was just like, oh, I hope I didn't break anything. Like It was more like that. But honestly, a lot of my landings went pretty smoothly because I picked it up pretty fast, I'd say. So most of them went pretty smoothly, but I think that was like probably the roughest one. There was some, actually when I was when we were on the taxiway and we were waiting for our turn to like go onto the runway, I saw a plane land and just like that, just like stop and like bow, and I was like, oh, that's a lot of money in damages right there. Like, but I think I did pretty good with landings. I like taking off though, because it's like, I actually like never understood how it even worked taking off, like before I went to this. I was like, there's no way it's just like you going fast and then it just like goes in the air. But it does, somehow. Not somehow, but like, it does. And that was really cool. So I think taking off was my favorite part. Landing was more just like, I don't want to break anything. Like, it wasn't even scary. I was like, I really don't want to break anything. Like, I know I don't have to pay for anything, but I don't want to break anything because that's not cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, and last thing would be, you know, they usually say, you know, you have to prepare like 3 hours for every 1 hour flight.
Mhm.
For all the time you spend in the classroom and then walking around the aircraft, checking oil and fuel and everything. Is that true?
Very much so. Oh my god. I mean, like I said, I flew like, the max I flew was like a little bit less than 2 hours, like on one day, but I had 3 hours of like schooling every single day, and like pre-flight, super important, but it kind of gets on your nerves after a little while because you're like, I just want to go up, and you're just like walking around and you're like touching everything, like, okay, it's like in place, like, okay, like that the bolt's in place. So it's like, you had to do it. That's definitely true. Like, it was, I mean, I did double the amount of like ground training every single day than I did actual flying. And then obviously pre-flight, and then when you get back, you have to make sure everything's secure and locked, and you have to tie the plane up again. So it's like all that stuff.
Good afternoon, faculty and staff. This is a message for you. When you leave today, please be sure to depart from the exit at the faculty and staff lot. The main lot exit is blocked currently. Thank you.
Oh.
Did someone get hit again?
Yes, I think so. I mean,
Huh,
it's just
interesting.
the whole thing.
Any other questions about planes?
About planes, not about people hitting other people.
This is so awesome. Yeah. Oh, it was
Thank
a
you.
car. Somebody didn't get hit. I think 2 cars. It was a car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, on the actual road. No, like in
Well, I guess we'll see it when we're all leaving, but
But
there's,
I definitely want to join this now. It seems
yeah,
amazing.
I mean, it's
and
like,
hearing that you had no prior like
they're looking
experience.
for, like I said, they're looking for like less than 5 powered flight hours, so they want people with less experience. Yeah.
Were there any like tests?
No, if you wanted to solo, like the one guy that did solo, there were some people who were trying to solo. They had to like fill out a packet, and it wasn't like a test. It was more like you had to fill it out like it was a test, and they kind of went over it with you. But there's no actual like examinations because you're not getting like the full license. It's just this like the student pilot license. Because actually one of the instructors told me that a few years ago when the program first started, I think it was a 3-month long program. Like they were there for 3 months, and they actually like got their private pilot's license. Like they got like 2 licenses at the end of that, which is a lot of work. That's already pretty accelerated. Like 3 months to get like more than 1 license is a lot. But no, there was no actual tests. It was just like schooling, and it was very simple. It was just like coming to class every day, but not having a quiz or a
And
test
this
at
is a
the end.
summer program, right?
Yeah.
During the year.
Yeah, so there's sessions in May through August, and when you get in, they give you a preference sheet for like where you want to go, because they'll show you because like I said, I was in California Baptist second session, so there was a session that was earlier in July, but I said I couldn't go to that because my brother's birthday was like earlier in July, and I wanted to be there for him. So like there was some sessions that started like May 15th, and I was like, I'm in school, I'm not gonna miss finals. Like I would love to miss finals for this, but I can't. So I had to put that like I wasn't available to go, and there was some that like ran into the first few days of school, so I was like, I can't go to that one either. Because some of the people, this is open from like I think 16 to like 21 or something, or very early 20s. It's either 16 to 18 or 16 to like 21 or something. But I mean, some people aren't in school, so they would go to the sessions that were in May, or maybe they're in college and they're coming back earlier, so they have time to go. But yeah.
incredible. All right. No final questions? Yeah. Incredible story.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks for watching. Click the subscribe button. I mean, there's nothing to click, but
Later.